Okay, thank you very much for joining us today for this LinkedIn Live. It's been obviously a challenging period for many, and hopefully you're going to come on this live. I'm just waiting for it to catch up a little bit. And first of all, thanks for joining and tuning into this. Hopefully there's a few things that we're going to be talking about today that's going to help you find your next role, give you some ideas to help you go about doing that, and some of the tips and tricks that might be useful for you. Now, this is really a very important interactive session. So you'll be able to comment. If you bring up comments on LinkedIn, you'll be able to put the comments, put your messages in there. Please, I'm curious to hear and really share your experience and what you're finding out there. So if you've got any feedback, if you have had some experiences over the last few months and you'd like to share it, put it in the comments section. We'll jump onto that. I think Rav said we can't hear, so that's a problem. Let me try it one more time and see if we can do it that way. Thank you, Rav. On to Rhodes UBS. Let's try that one. Let's see if we can plug in that way instead. So I'll just come out of that now. Put myself back in. Right, hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to try that one more time. And let me know if you can hear me or not. Hopefully you can't hear me. I can hear. Okay, great. I think we had there, and hopefully it's working now. Hopefully you can hear me on the audio. Looks like it's working okay. All right, fantastic. These are the challenges always to get things going as well. So hopefully you can hear, and we're going to go through this now. And again, any questions, let me know. Thank you, everyone, for dropping in and saying that you can hear. That is fantastic. Again, just going back for those who are joining, and hopefully it's all working now. As I said, this is a chance. Many of you I know already, so I appreciate jumping on here. It's been a tough few months for us all. Hope people are feeling coming out of it. I can see things are going much better. There's definitely progress in there, but that's not helping you if you're looking for a job right now. So some of the things we're going to be talking about today is really about how it can help you get that role. But more importantly, it's the little actions that you're going to need to take every single day, everything that you can do to help you on your job search. Again, I've got a comments feed here as well, so I can see what people are asking. So again, if there's any things that you'd like to mention, please drop it in here, and hopefully we can have a chat about that as well as we go through. Really, just a disclaimer, of course, this is my personal views only, so please don't mark that as read. Obviously, everyone's got a different perception about things, but hopefully some of the things that we talk about today is going to help you. So I'll be really pleased if you can share your experience, share what you're finding, and share it with other people as well. So without further ado, we'll just talk on to that. And again, just drop in how, let me know how you're finding it out there. I'll be curious to hear. Just making sure that I bring up the comments on LinkedIn now, so I've got that all working. And there we go. Okay, hopefully it's going to be working now. Right, so yeah, so obviously the first thing out there is finding your next role. Now, you could be looking for a permanent position. You could be looking for a contract role out there. And generally, what I'm hearing from people, of course, is there's not enough jobs and there's too many people. So I know, for example, if you look at the threads on LinkedIn, you can see people applying for a lot of roles and not getting any feedback from recruiters. Some of the times people are having 500-600 candidates applying for a role for just one position. So that's going to be difficult for you to cut through that noise. And those 500 or 600 people that have applied for that role may not be the best suited for that position. So even if you are absolutely bang on for that role, you're the absolutely top person for that role, you could find that you aren't even noticed for that position anyway. So that can make things really, really challenging. So you've got to think about actually what are the roles you're applying for, and is there another way of cutting into those customers that you're trying to work for? So some of the roles aren't even being advertised at all. That might be because the agency partners engaging is decided to do a search instead. It could be that direct client is just engaging as well already. So it's really important that you think about how you could go out to the roles, go out to those customers, engage with them, even if they're not hiring. So we're going to just talk about a little bit about that. Now, going back to some of the basics, some of the things that you might be doing on a day-to-day basis. I'll just touch on the CV. And again, disclaimer, this is my perception. Everyone's got a different view on this. Some companies have a different view. But make sure you've got that 2 to 3 page maximum CV. No one wants to see a 10-page CV, of course. And again, remember, it's really your sales tool. It's just your your foot in the door, as it were, to go in for that role. Now, it might be that you're going to have to do some customized CVs for every position at the moment. You know, I know that's time consuming and it may take time, but it's important that you read that job spec, or better still, phone up that recruiter if you've got access to that person to get through. And I know it's not always easy at the moment, but connect through, go through and have a talk to them and just say, hey, look, you know, I've done lots of those different things. Will it help if I can adjust my profile to really help you? So I would try that out as well, see if that can work, and connect through and just change up that CV. Now, having that 2 to 3 page CV, you might have a longer version as well, but you can have that as a backup. And equally, some people may find that they need to have 4 or 5 different versions of a CV. They might be working on lots of different things. So again, it's important that you think about, well, actually, do I want to have 2 or 3 different profiles? Yesterday, I spoke to a candidate and I explained to them, they were telling me that they can do many, many different things. We looked at their profile on LinkedIn, and they had 6 or 7 different job titles almost. And I said, look, that's just too many. It's probably putting people off because they're not really sure where to place you or put you. So, you know, if you're putting project manager, business analyst, PMO, except program manager, etc., it may be having a bad influence on people contacting you and reaching out. So think about the things that you're really, really good at and you may want to focus on. Now, I'll just bring up Vincent's comment, and thanks for that, Vincent. I'm going to bring it up on screen here. Vincent said, my experience, the market is very quiet, both contract and perm. Maybe 3 to 4 leads that did not materialize. See you seeing a drop in salary. Thanks for that, Vincent. Yeah, I think the experience generally is that is the case. And I think it's interesting you hear about 3 to 4 leads. I'm curious to hear how many people are getting calls from recruiters who are phoning up and engaging with yourselves. I mean, it's definitely more challenging, but every one of those leads, it's really important to follow up. And equally to that, Vincent, I would say that that's your opportunity to go out there and try and find those organizations. Now, you know, you've got to find those leads. So we're going to come into that and talk about that in a bit more detail about, well, how are you going to find that work rather than it coming to you? And again, I'd love to hear what's, you know, keeping people motivated. You know, I myself, you know, I don't know where I've got it. I've got it here. You know, still use an old-fashioned egg timer. I put it on, you know, and that's my time to really focus, not have any distraction, where I'm focusing on the development efforts that I need to do for my business. And equally for yourself, if you're searching for a role, it's very easy to have distractions, obviously with family, children, the fridge, the outside walks or whatever. But you've really got to focus in on that time. Whether it's 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning or the afternoon. Usually that doesn't always work best for people, or the evening, but you've got to find time to make that happen. And I think it's really good if you can find some time to focus on that time. I'm just going to bring up thing there because I can see a few things going on. Rick mentioned a good thing. Finding the market really quiet at the present time. From a recruiter's perspective, I'm interested to understand just how deflated the market is at the moment compared to normal times. Well, Rick, it's a great question. There's some recruiters doing exceptionally well. You know, in this time, there's a lot of people obviously on furlough and not working at all. And you know, some of those recruiters, sadly, will probably never come back to the recruitment industry, and that's a real shame. I mean, the market obviously is depressed. There's obviously a lot of people looking for work, but that's also then finding those pockets, those areas where there are growth in the market. So it could be with those e-commerce companies. There's a lot of work in the healthcare and pharmaceutical sector. And often you'll get someone will say to me, well, you know, they want that experience of that sector, and that's sometimes happens, or the banking sector, they ask for that experience as well. So how are you going to break into those organizations? Well, as you know, the old adage of who you know does go a long way. So it's looking for people perhaps that you've worked with in the past. Look for those people that perhaps you've worked at those organizations with that you can reach out. There might even be people that you've met at conferences that have now moved across to working at those organizations. And it might be people you're not linked to anymore. So again, think about all those people that you've worked in the past with, that you've connected with. Look them up on LinkedIn. Have a look at where they're working at the moment. Drop them a note on LinkedIn, a connection request. Make it a personalized message. Ask them about how they're finding it. If there's projects and programs that are going on, problems that they're having in their business that you might be able to solve challenges with. And that might be a way of overcoming that issue where you don't have that experience of that industry. So thanks, Rick. I'm curious to hear that as well. Again, if anyone's got any experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly right now, please put it in the comments section, because I'd love to hear about that as well. Now, I wanted to do a few things now, because I'm speaking to so many people at the moment, and it's really disheartening to hear so many people out of work. By the way, it's not easy for any of us. It's tough. It's hard work. You've got to dig deep. You've got to be resilient. You know, there's days even I feel like having a cry, but you've got to push yourself forward and keep going, because the grass will be greener. Things will recover. I'm seeing good signs of people talking about projects and programs for September. Doesn't help you now if you're looking for work, but there is stuff going on, and there is stuff going on right this second. But again, if you've got 600 candidates applying for the role, and the recruiter or the internal recruiter or whoever's managing it can only really put 3 or 4 profiles in front of that hiring manager, you can appreciate there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. So how can you get to the top? It might be that you've, as I said, you've got to find those roles that are not being advertised, those roles that are being filled under the radar. So that might be where people are moving on or moving around an organization. You might be phoning up your previous stakeholders that you've worked with in the past, and they've got a problem and an issue that they need to resolve. And equally, they need people who perhaps understand that organization, because onboarding people remotely who perhaps don't have any understanding of that organization generally is going to take a bit more time than someone who's au fait with the processes, the culture, perhaps the politics, the issues, the technology stack, etc. You're going to have to do something a little bit different. You're going to be able to do that thing that those other candidates won't be able to do. So you could actually add some value straight away by hitting the ground running and going in and working for that organization. And it could even be, and it's the old puppy dog sale, and Rick, you might have some that you can go back to as well, but there may be a customer that you've worked with in the past that actually just needs someone for 2 weeks work. Now that might help you, and you might think, well, that's not worth it for 2 weeks, but it might help you get the foot in the door, that foot in the door to go and help them solve a problem, solve a challenge, get some work, and get in there quickly. So I'd love to see if anyone, please tell me if you've been doing that already, or if that's a bad idea. I'd love to hear it. We're going to look at LinkedIn profiles in a minute. I want to bring that up first. I want to just bring up Lorraine's comment there. Lorraine, thank you for this. I personally am finding this very hard. 2 months of being ignored doesn't help much. But yeah, I feel your pain. And Lorraine, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. I've got no magic wand on this, unfortunately, and I'm really sorry to hear that. But let me tell you this. There's a lot of people in the same boat as you. Again, I know that doesn't make you feel probably 1,000 times better, but there's a lot of people in the same boat as you, and it's a slog, and I'm sure it's hurting. So anything we can do, again, if anyone knows Lorraine, look her up on LinkedIn right now. You can bring up her profile, see what she's doing, see what she's up to. Now, I wanted today to, Lorraine, please reach out to me afterwards, drop me your CV or the updated CV. I'll be happy just to have a quick chat with you, see what I can suggest to you. But some of these ideas today, if you take action on it today, Monday, Tuesday, even Saturday and Sunday, you put that action in every single day, I'm sure you'll be further ahead than you were before we had this call today. So Lorraine, we'll have a chat on that later. Anyone wants to reach out and connect with Lorraine, I suggest you do that right now. Yeah, it's tough, but we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do. And as I said, just going back to that last point, think about some of those companies that you've worked with in the past. There might be little projects that need to be done, especially COVID-related stuff, or something that's pressing. And again, it might be a quick win that you can get back in there with helping that organization with their challenges at the moment. Because a lot of people are time pressed as well in this environment, and they want to have people they can onboard quickly, who understand the business and really can support them. Okay, so what I was going to do, I was going to go on and show just some things on LinkedIn as well that's going to be helpful for you, because again, I see this a lot where people haven't put the time and effort into their profile. You might not think it's a big deal, but when recruiters are searching for you, they are looking across multiple platforms. They might be, and they are looking at your profile, and you want it to stand out. You want it to look good. You want it to look fantastic. And I think that's the most important thing. So I'm going to go onto that LinkedIn, but before I do, because I want to go jump onto there. Rick, you've asked a great question back there. How do we spot roles that potentially don't actually exist? Well, that's a difficult one, Rick. I mean, unfortunately, it is very, very difficult. I don't know what you mean by don't exist. I don't know if you mean the recruiters put it up there. I don't know if you mean that the company's looking. I mean, don't forget that there could be a massive amount of issues here. That there's people could be the hiring manager could be looking for something, but hasn't got the budget sign off, but believes they're going to get that sign off. Okay, that's always a challenge. It might be a consultancy partner that's bidding into that organization and needs to be able to demonstrate and show that they're going to do that. I mean, this has existed since the dawn of time. Very, very difficult to spot those roles. But I think it's a conversation with a recruiter. you'll be able to understand a little bit about how they're talking to you and giving you confidence that there's work there. So generally, when they're not so clued up about the role and what the objectives are, maybe there's some signs. But equally, it's very, very difficult, and I think you've just got to be in it to win it, Rick. And I think that's it's the same for us going out to customers. So think of those things as well. Love to have that. And just to answer that last one as well. One more question in relation to the ethics of some recruiters. I've bumped into the unbelievable practice when certain recruiters advertise roles that don't exist. Yeah, very, very difficult, Rick, and I'm sorry to hear that. Obviously, it's a minefield out there. But as I said, what you can do is I'll tell you this though, it might prove a conversation, because even if they did that and you follow that up, it might make you think about some of the organizations they're talking about, or even your own profile. It's very, very difficult, but I can assure you that the majority of recruiters, good recruiters, are doing things in the right way. They don't want to waste their time either. We don't want to waste the consultant's time, and hopefully we can help you get the role. So yeah, good thing. Anyway, anyone with points, drop it down. We'll try and answer it as we go through. Stuart, thank you for being nice to Lorraine. Always nice to see. Right, so the next bit I just wanted to talk about, I need to read some of my notes as well, is just how you can improve your LinkedIn profile. So we just talked very briefly about the CV. We're not going to go into it in great detail. Don't have any flashing lights on your CV and any funny font and text. Make it very, very simple, easy to read, easy layout. But again, I'm not going to go into huge detail on that. I just wanted to go very quickly into LinkedIn. I'm going to try this out. If it doesn't work, please drop me on the notes in the chat if this is not going to work. So I'm just going to bring up LinkedIn and see if we can add it in. Yes. Okay, great. So hopefully now you can see my LinkedIn. Now, I didn't want to bring up anyone else's. So, well, I'm going to bring up one other just to show you anyway. But there was a few things that I just wanted to mention, because this comes up quite a lot. I speak to a lot of candidates day to day, and I wanted to give a bit of feedback that might help you. So just have a look at this and see if it's useful for you. So the first thing first is really important, and some of the things, when they look at the CV, that, and again, I appreciate not everyone's on LinkedIn, but you all are, so that's good. But when people are looking at the CV, they might be pressing on LinkedIn and having a look, and they're looking to see perhaps does it match what you've said on your CV. So there's a few things that you can do, and obviously what you can see already from the first thing up there is this banner image here. Now, many of you don't have it, many of you do, and many of you don't even know it exists. So what's really important is think about how you want to make your profile look. How can it stand out, and it's your personal brand. So you want to make it look the best you can. Now, this one here is obviously reflecting of our company branding and our website, but you can go in and edit that by just pressing this edit button, and you'll be able to press that. You'll be able to apply a picture, drop one in there. You have to have it as a certain size, and a website I recommend to you to do that with is one called Pexel, PEXEL.com, and you can grab nice banners and images there. I think I'll just drop that in there, Pexel.com. Hopefully that's come up so you can look at that. And you'll get a nice branded image, stock banner that you can add up there. Now, think about things that you want to resonate to you. It might be your cat if you've got a love for cat, but actually maybe you want to make it a bit more professional around just some nice imagery that's going to make it stand out and look nice. So have a think about how you can do that. Now, again, the picture is important. I think it's important to show who you are. And again, make sure that it's a real profile. So think about how it's made, how you put it. You can do it great pictures with iPhones these days, and then you can also just enhance it and make it look a little bit nicer in the light. So make sure the light is capturing out. Now, a lot of people talk to me. I've just mentioned a few of these things. A lot of people mention to me about the job title, or what you're putting in as your job title. So make sure you've thought about what your job title wants to be. Now, that's because you want people to search for you potentially for those job titles. So again, if you're a project manager or a program manager or a program director, perhaps put those titles in. And again, recruiters are searching for people with those job titles. So it might be that you want to put that in as your thing rather than your, I'm looking for work. And I know lots of people do that as well. And there is a setting in LinkedIn where you can say that you're looking for work, you're looking for opportunities. I think it's here as well. And you can also put that in the about section. So you could write something in there as well. Now you're going to put the about section, you're going to make sure that's filled in, of course. Now, again, you've got some featured banners imagery here. You could get some banners and images and put some of the certificates that you've got, any awards that you've got, you can put in there. And you might want to start thinking about engaging on LinkedIn. So again, you might want to write some blog articles. Now, again, I know it's difficult, you haven't got the time, but it might be that you can, again, especially if you're out of work at the moment and you're looking, think about the stuff that you've done really amazing, you know, with the companies over the years. You don't necessarily need to name the company, but you could write a blog about the experience that you had in solving customer issues and what your experiences were and how you went about solving that. Now, these are great things that you can do. And again, just to get the views up as well. Now, activity comes around, and again, you know, if you're not used to doing this on LinkedIn, you can jump on and write some activity. So I'd thoroughly recommend that you start engaging in the comments section on LinkedIn. Do it on here. Spend a little bit every day. Again, I know you've got lots of other things to do in your life, but if you start engaging in commentary on LinkedIn, you'll find that, you know, if you like something, you comment on people's updates, post updates I'm talking about now. So the post updates that come up in your LinkedIn feed, start commenting on them. Try and do 2 or 3 a day. You know, look for people that you resonate. And again, just give you an example. I don't know, let's pick a company, the BBC. As for one, you might see someone at the BBC that's writing about something that they've done. You could jump on and just comment on that and say, this is how you handled it in your company. This is what you did. That's really good, blah, 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 blah. And you start to build up a relationship. And there's people that you start to build up an online relationship with. And again, it might be that they reach out to you and say, actually, yeah, I like how you answered that. Maybe you can help me. So you want to be thinking about that as well. Those are really important things as well. Now, when you're writing your profile, again, a lot of the time, and I'm just going to bring up what someone else is because, and I wouldn't normally do this, but as it's someone very famous, I don't think he'll mind. Was it Bill Gates? Yeah, Bill Gates, right. Yeah, okay. So Bill's obviously, again, similar thing. He's put a nice background there. He's got a lovely photo. You can see he said what he's doing. He's got a bit of an about. He's obviously filled in a lot of this. Maybe not him personally, someone else. He's got obviously a lot of activity going on, but there's nothing here. Now, this is the important bit for you. May not affect Bill so much. He might not be too worried about getting his next contract role right this moment. But for you, I think it's really important. And what I mean by here is in here, you can go in there and edit that section, as you probably know, about what you've been doing at that company. Now, think about this. What you want to be thinking about is what were you doing at the company, and what were you adding? What value were you adding to that organization? So what was the return on investment? So it could be that you were working on a certain project or program where you can add that information, which is not under NDA or any secret information. Add the systems that you've been working on, add perhaps the business type units that you may have been engaging with. But more importantly, you've got to talk about what was the return on investment. How did you add value to that organization? Did you save them time? Did you save them money? Did you do both? How did you deliver that? What were the type of people you were engaging with? Maybe the size of the program and project if you're in that kind of field. Whatever it might be, but get some detail in there because, again, people are searching for this stuff. They're looking for keywords. They're looking for information. And it's really worth delving down and adding that information to every single role that you've got. So you can go in there, you can click on that edit, and you can edit that information quite easily. Now, the one thing I notice a lot of people do, and again, they might add their limited company information there. Nice to add it, but the problem is the limited company doesn't have a company page generally. So you want to make sure that if you were working at, again, the BBC, you know, that you've gone in to edit that, you've been able to edit that, and you actually make sure you select the right company. So a lot of people miss that. If I mishit this, it will come up with a blank. So it's really important, or you can even get it right, that you make sure that you select the right one that you want, right? Now, in this case, it may be BBC or whatever it might be, or whoever it might be looking at, but make sure that you really take the time to do that because, again, it's a small thing, but what you don't want to do is come up with the wrong one and then you have a blank post. And again, these are small things, right? And you might think, so what? Who cares? But actually, it's all about adding credibility to your profile. That's the bit that you're trying to do. You're trying to add credibility to your profile. So those are a few more things here. I'm also just going to bring up here, just at the bottom here, a few other things that you can do. So you've got these skills and endorsement things. You've probably seen this. And again, you might think it's a bit of a waste of time. But actually, as a recruiter, you can search for people with skills. You can actually search for people with certain skills. So you can go in there and adjust those skills. You can add different skills in here. And you can get endorsed for those skills. So again, have a play around with that. I'm going to tell you how to go through it in more detail. So have a look at that. And I'd also get asking for recommendations. So again, those recommendations, generally, you know, people are always concerned of having recommendations from, you know, I can't get recommendations. I can only go out to organizations that, you know, HR won't give me those recommendations. But actually, you can get those recommendations maybe from a hiring manager, again, someone that you've worked with before. And again, they might just be able to write something about you, and especially in this market, especially in this time, where they can write something about you and just give you a recommendation about what it was like to work with you. You know, what value do you delivered on a program and project, etc. And again, it's just adding weight. It's adding credibility to your profile. So I would definitely try those things out, and I would, you know, put a bit of effort into it. Look at interests, look at groups, and what you'll find is, you know, you're going to be showcasing a lot better profile. And again, try and match it up. Think about how it can match up with your CV, and really work very similar. So I would think about that and spend a bit more time on that. I'm not going to go on to LinkedIn too much today. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, and I'm going to take that off now and come back onto there and drop those in. Right, I'm going to just take a couple of questions before I go into the next bit. It's now 12:30. Now, before I answer that, it's 12:30. I'm at home, and the best thing about this lockdown is going for walks in the forest at lunchtime. I have to say, going for a run as well some days, but today I think I'll go for a walk, and it's magical. That's the one thing that I really enjoy right now. Right, I'm going to bring this up. Melissa, thank you for that. Which fields do recruiters search for job titles? Current position in the headline, job titles in the detail section, or both? Well, Melissa, actually, a little bit of both. I mean, if you're a good recruiter, you will be trying lots of different things. There's lots of different tools that recruiters have access to that can create what they call Boolean search strings for them, or they can use a Boolean search to find the candidates. But you'll try and mix things up. And what you'll also find is you can actually find candidates who have made spelling mistakes. So they actually don't come up in a normal search, but someone who fills it in with a slight different spelling can actually find those candidates. So always check your spelling as well and make sure it's correct. Again, I would start off with job titles. You know why they probably do it with job titles? It's easy to do it with job titles. Now you can do keyword searching as well, of course, but they tend to do it there. So again, I'd say, you know, if you're looking for a program manager role, that's what your focus that you want to do. You know, I would perhaps put that in the job title of your role. You can also, of course, put that in the experience. You could put senior project management or program management, but in the overall job title, I would do that as well. So yeah, so that would be good. Vincent, I'll just bring that up as well. Could accepting a more junior role now be negative impact? Well, I don't know, Vincent. At the end of the day, we've all got bills to pay, right? We've got families to feed, and we've got life to do. And I think if anyone saw that as a negative during this COVID period, I would be upset by them. I think not, because you know your own ability, Vincent, and you got to do what you got to do. So for me personally, I take what you can. If that's a challenge, of course, what you want to do is then prove to that organization actually you can offer them a lot more, and you can do a lot more. So I'd be thinking about actually getting in there if that's what you have to do that, but being very clear with the client that, you know, you want to be able to offer them more where you can, and if that can help the business move forward, particularly in these crises for every business, then I would try that as well. So yeah, I think it's a good point as well. So thank you very much for that. I would appreciate that. I'll just bring up that comment there. Thank you for that, Vazia Devin. 5 months and counting. Yeah, I'm sure. And 5 months is stressful. You know, a month is stressful, and I do feel for you. So again, hopefully some of this advice and these tips that I've given you today might just be worth realigning and pushing out there. And again, you know, don't give up. You've got to keep going. I've seen some good signs from people this week who have secured roles. Again, that doesn't help you today, but it can be done. So keep trying and keep pushing out on that as well. Okay, so we talked about the LinkedIn and how to use that. I mentioned that pexel.com definitely is a good site to get some of that free stock imagery to make your profile look nice. And as I said, yeah, it's all about adding that further credibility. It's really about credibility, confidence in your profile. You know, it really is your personal brand, and you want to make it look good. And yeah, make sure you add that right company on your LinkedIn page of the companies. Someone asked me yesterday, you know, they had their profile where they had, you know, worked with lots of different companies over the last few years, but they didn't list them all separately. And I said, you know, it's a difficult one if you're working multiple jobs at the same time across those companies, but where possible, do add on those companies, because again, it's going to show credibility that you're able to work with whichever types of organizations that you're engaged with. And I think it'll be a lot of things. We mentioned about the commenting and engaging with people every day. Maybe try spending 30 minutes a day just on LinkedIn commenting. Look for stuff. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can just go into your LinkedIn. You can just go into your LinkedIn and just literally go to search, and at the top of the search bar, and I think if I just show you very quickly, I think how you can do that very fast. I don't know if I can still do that. Yeah, so if you go to your LinkedIn, you put in your home search, put in whatever you're searching for, and it could be, you know, jobs or whatever the comment is, and then you can just press in content, do it like that, and date posted in the last week, you know, and you can do it like that. So if you're not sure how to do it, have a play with it and just put in different words, you know, project management, program management, whatever floats your boat, or industry, or whatever's going on out there. Try those different things, because that might help you as well. If you're a developer, maybe, you know, a software engineer, you're thinking about GitHub, Stack Overflow engagement. So those are some of the things you want to do. Yeah, going on to looking for the jobs again. So I'd be thinking about searching for virtual events and webinars. So again, what I've seen quite successful at the moment is that, and you know, I've even joined some just to hear what's going on in the market. So there's a lot of good webinars and virtual events being run at the moment. They could be run by the companies themselves. They could be run by recruitment agencies, and there's some great ones out there doing it. It could be run by the institutes of the industry bodies, I should say. So things like the Project Management Institute, the Change Management Institute, the Business Analysis, IIAB, I think it is. These kind of companies are doing a lot of webinars, really good ones at the moment. And yeah, there you go. Suzanne's beat me to it. See, so that's even fantastic. Yeah, so join relevant webinars, forums, LinkedIn, great for making new content. And what happens is you join those things, and again, they tell you generally, not always, but they're going to be telling you about what the struggles are in the industry, what the issues are. You're there to solve people's problems. You know, the work comes from solving problems generally. So get working and thinking about, actually, if you engage with a webinar, a networking event, find out what their problems are. See if you can ask a question at the end and ask them what their problems are. And then you can follow it up afterwards and say, hey, look, you know, we had a similar problem at X company. This is how we overcome it. Why don't I come and talk to you, have a virtual coffee, and see how we can solve it? And you might find that you get in there with them as well. So those are a few things as well. Let's have a look. And I've got to bring that up. I'm worried that LinkedIn is turning into a professional Facebook. Oh my God. Well, Anik, you know, don't worry about that. You can't change things. Well, you can't change the world. You can change small things. But yeah, you know what? It's difficult, right? But at the end of the day, it's another platform, and it's still one of the best platforms out there for professional business to business things. I've been on the thing now for like about 18 years, I think. And obviously it's changed a lot, but you know, you just got to change with the times. You've got to keep moving it forward, scroll over that stuff, you know, and you know, I don't spend time looking at that you know, the content that's not going to give value to me or my audience. So just think about how you can use it effectively, which you can, to get the best for yourself as well. So give that a try as well. Right, so now just take a breather a second while I have a sip of water. Another good thing, having water at home. I think the water is better where I live, just north of Gatwick, than it is in central London. So I have to say that's another thing that I'm enjoying. Right, excuse me. So what happens? You search and apply for the job. Okay, so at the moment there's a lot of candidates out there looking, and there's not enough jobs. So you're going to have to think about the follow-up as well. So you know, the role comes in, you apply for the role. What do you do? Well, a lot of people don't do anything. Other people get on the phone, and if you truly believe that you're right for that role or a good fit for that role, and you've read the role and you feel that you're right for it, pick up the phone and call the recruiter, whether that's a recruiter there or whatever, and then you say you can't get through. So again, you know, leave a voicemail, drop them a direct email. If you can't find their email, that's a problem, but I'm sure you can. So have a look for that. You might be able to find it on their company website. You might be able to find the email, or you can go on LinkedIn and find it generally that way. You might be able to send them an email. You might have a premium account on LinkedIn, and you might want to send them it that way. But what you're doing is you want to follow up. And again, if you follow up every time, you know, you're already beating 80% of 90% of the candidates that haven't bothered to do that. Now, again, other candidates may say, do you know what? I haven't got the time for that. I'm not going to follow up. You know, if they're interested in me, they'll call me back, and that's fine too. That's cool. But if you really want to get ahead and you feel it, you might call that person up, whether they are 10 into 600 candidates, or 5 into 600 candidates talking to them, and they can only put 3 or 4 people forward. So even if if you're great down that list, further down that list, you might not be relevant for that person. You might not even get a look in on that job. So think about the follow-up. Make sure you do a follow-up. The other thing that's important, I think, is your voicemail. So again, believe it or not, recruiters do call people and leave messages, as I'm sure you've had some in the past. I remember the good old days where people would get, I remember their voicemail would have, it'd be fully loaded, where you couldn't leave any more voicemails. But think about how your voicemail comes across. Have you left a message rather than it just being the standard message? People just want to know who it is. It might influence someone leaving you a message. That message could be coming from someone you've engaged with in the past. It could be coming from a recruiter who wants to engage with you. So just leave a friendly and clear message that allows people to leave a message and follow you up. So I think that's important. Okay, so now just wanted to, and by the way, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on this. And look, I said that I'll just bring up your point there, Vasudevan. Most of the roles are filled by, I'm over here. Yeah, most of the roles are filled by referrals, recommendations. I've had experience where I'm the first to comment on a post and send my CV to a recruiter. I can see my messages unread and the role is already filled. I see a lot of favoritism-based recruitment, skills-based. Been out of contract since Feb. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it's difficult for me to respond to that, obviously, without seeing what details is. But as I said, all you can do is keep pushing out and keep trying and think of different avenues. And if you want to drop me a note, by the way, drop me a message after this. I'll give you some suggestions as well. But yeah, I appreciate it's very, very difficult. But again, as I said, your best bet is to pick up the phone, follow up, and build that relationship with that agency, that recruiter or that internal recruiter that you might be working with. So okay, so let's say you've magically got to the point of getting that interview. Now this is now difficult at the moment, maybe, to get that interview. So you want to make sure that you're absolutely today geared up for that. Now let's say you apply for a job today and they say they want to interview you on Monday morning. And you say, well, I'm not prepared for that. I'm not ready for that. That's too quick, or whatever the case may be. Well, no, you've got to be prepared, because if you're not prepared at the moment, you could find that someone else has got those slots and that job is gone. So you want to make sure that you're ready and on top of your game. So what can you do? Now, you're going to probably have you might have a phone interview, but you might go straight to a video interview. Or they might just do a phone interview and they're happy with that. But a lot of the time they might want a video interview. And I think that's a good thing, because you want to see the white of each other's eyes. You want to know what the expectations of the role are and what your objectives are. So you make sure you're not set up for fail. And you want to see what you're going to be expected to do. And they can see what you're able to do, I should say. So practice in the video interview. So get on the phone with someone, jump on a video call with someone you know. There's plenty of people who could be listening here. Jump on a message with them and practice doing a video interview. So try doing a video. You could just do it over FaceTime or WhatsApp and just pretending that you're going. But think about how you're framing your shot. So have you got stable enough internet? Is the lighting good enough where you're going to take this video interview? Does the frame around you look nice or nice enough to have an interview? Is your voice clear and concise when you have that? And practice yourself for a couple of minutes, introducing yourself. So what are you going to say about yourself when they say, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing? Now, you don't want to talk war and peace, but you want to be talking for maybe a minute, just to give them a synopsis about who you are, why you're interested in the role, of course, or why you've applied for the role. If they don't give you any steer on the questions that they're asking you straight away. So just start practicing. If you haven't done this for a while, it's really important to start practicing and sharing it with other people, trying it out. Again, you can do it on Zoom. There's a free, you can get a free account on Zoom, of course, and you can get a certain time to record for free. So try recording yourself or record with a friend and then play it back to yourself. See how you come across. The point I'm trying to make is, this could be your one shot of getting that role. And if that interview hasn't come around, you don't get another interview for another week or two. That's 2 weeks that you're going to be out as well. So, don't make sure you do it. Make sure you're going for it. And those are the main things. What do we got here? I think Rick said regarding LinkedIn Premium, so saying it's absolutely worthwhile. No, I'm not saying it's absolutely worthwhile at all, Rick. It's another one of those tools in the armory that you could take advantage of. And the reason I say that is, I'm seeing people are following up with LinkedIn emails for jobs that they've applied for, but they haven't picked up the phone. And I still think the phone is still a very, very powerful tool in this game. So no, it's not. Does it help? Give it a try. I'm not here to sell LinkedIn. So maybe give it a try. I think they give you a trial anyway, 30 days, and maybe that's good enough. That's enough time for you to get what you need from it. So give it a try. And if it doesn't work, don't bother. But again, a lot of the time of these things is that you pay for it and then you don't use it. So again, it goes back to thinking about what is the strategy that you're going to get every day. Now, if you've got stuff to follow up from it, then that's fantastic. But if you're paying for it and you're not using it and not getting any value out of it, then probably not for you anyway. Okay, so we're nearly coming to the end there. I don't know if anyone wanted me to recap on anything or anything that was useful for you. It's great to see all the comments, by the way, so thank you for that. It's quite difficult still to, normally I'd like to have someone talking to them and then doing the comments, but I thought it was a really important one to talk today just about getting a job, because I know everyone is having these challenges, and everyone I speak to in the week, I feel for every person. But look, if you just take out a few things from today and get this sorted, if you think about, have another look at your CV, 2 to 3 pages long. Does it talk about the value you can deliver and the return on investment you can give to organizations? Have you taken some of this advice and got your LinkedIn profile up to date? Have you jumped on after this call and updated your voicemail so it's nice and friendly and people can leave a message? You can tell them that you're available for contract if that's what you wish to do, and that they can leave a message and call back. Are you going to follow up every single application you make that you generally believe that you're right for the role as well? So you want to do that. And yeah, make sure you do those as well. Practice this weekend. Get your kids out, or if you've got kids, or family member or friend, and do a nice little video. Just do an introduction about yourself and just see how you come across. If you might have the confidence to do that, but with a bit of practice, you'll be better. And the reason I say that is because you want to absolutely nail that interview. The one thing I didn't mention on that interview is preparation about the job. And again, going back to that preparation, of course, you need to know the job spec or the objectives of the role. So spend time talking to that recruiter if you can. If you're not, you might be having a direct application for them for some reason or another, for a permanent position perhaps. Make sure you've done your research on the company. You can look them up on company house if it's a smaller company, find out more about them. Obviously, look at them maybe on Crunchbase, look them up on LinkedIn. Look at all the people that are working for them in the organization. Again, you can do that quite easily with LinkedIn. So you can start to map out and know more about the organization, hopefully. Read their company reports, find out what's going on, do a Google search on news. You want to be prepared as absolutely possible to nail that interview, and you might want to drop something in for that interview to show you've done your homework, basically. So I think those are important things. Stuart, I'm going to bring this up because it's a great point. Do you think things pop up? And if so, waiting till then to be... and if so, would wait until then. Well, Stuart, I don't, obviously, none of us have a crystal ball, do we? And being an optimistic, being in recruitment, I do think things will pick up. And actually, the conversations that I have had with organizations in my small little world has been very positive about September. There's obviously a lot of people who are going to be going off on holiday, whether or not they're leaving the country or leaving their home or whatever. But there's a lot of people that have worked through this crisis non-stop and probably need a good break. And again, I think there's a lot of people that are going to take that time to reflect, recharge their batteries, going to come back with ideas about the business, projects and programs that need to be delivered, things that need to get done. I think the government has done some really interesting stuff, whether you like everything or not, but there's some good things that are positive, at least to help things get going again. And I hope everyone takes advantage of the 10 quid off thingy to go and buy some food over August if you're here. I did say to my wife yesterday if a beer shandy counted as a soft drink. So we were having a debate on if we would get away with a 60-40% lager to lemonade in a pub. So if anyone's got any suggestions on that, I would do that. Sarge, thank you very much for joining. No problem. You can replay and look at that. So I do, Stuart. I think I'm optimistic. I'm feeling good. You've just got to crack on and keep going. But at the end of the day, what you don't want to do, Stuart, I mentioned this one, is you don't want to drop off. Sign up for something and then leave. Not good practice. Not good integrity. If you commit to something, commit. And at the end of the day, look, there might be something better that comes along. But you know what? That customer's chosen you. And taking you on to deliver that piece of work, and I would respect that with all my integrity I can where possible. But yeah, so if you get something now, great. If you can wait it out and afford to wait it out, that would be fantastic too. Just answer a few more if I can as well. Suzanne, thank you for that. Share job opportunities you come across on LinkedIn. Great way to help out your contacts with the added bonus to remind everyone that you're available. Yeah, good shout out there, Suzanne. I think that's a good one, and you can do that in the comments update as well. So yeah, if you hear about opportunities or you share opportunities, feel free. You should be doing that on LinkedIn. What have we got here besides LinkedIn, Vincent? Besides LinkedIn, what other job boards do you recommend? Well, obviously it depends on what kind of job you're looking for. I mean, the majority of people on here are in sort of technology or business change or something along those lines. But you've got things, anything ranging from JobServe, JobSite, CW Jobs, CV Library, blah blah. Indeed, all these aggregators. Google Jobs is pulling that stuff in as well. You should also search out recruiters, websites that you're interested in. Again, you can search for recruiters, perhaps that you can search for recruiters based on their skills and experience as well. And it could be that they're advertising jobs on their own website and not sticking them on job boards because, again, there's a cost element to that as well. And, they might want to, reduce their costs and reduce the numbers of people applying in the present market and might not feel the need to be advertising it. So, LinkedIn is one good source, but I wouldn't say it's everything. And Vincent, of course, if it's a permanent position, as much as contract, all those ones I've mentioned would be relevant to you and helpful to you as well. But again, I'm sure even just a Google search works well these days. And as I said, Indeed or any of the other aggregators in the market. So have a look at that. And again, you can also, is a good idea for you. If you see a job advertised on LinkedIn, the customer doesn't have many applicants. I think you can actually see that on LinkedIn. And again, you could see that role has been on there for 4 weeks and it shows 0 applicants. So I know I can certainly see it, even just on my basic account. You could reach out to that person and say, hey, look, I see that you haven't had any much engagement. Maybe it's the salary level. They might need to rethink that and pay a bit more and might interest you. Or that there's something wrong with the job. It's something not of interest, and maybe it needs to look at again as well. And it could be that there's people looking for permanent hires. They can't find anyone, and they need a brilliant consultant like you to come in for a couple of months and get the job done. So that is about that. So we're now at 10 to 1. Some of you have got to have some lunch. I need some lunch. It's Friday. The weather's going to be okay here in England. And I think I'm going to have a barbecue. Hope that was useful for everyone. Thank you very much for all joining. Take action, enjoy, and if you enjoyed this, let me know. Would love to do another LinkedIn. If there's any guests that you'll be interested in chatting to, talking to, reach out again. And we'll talk soon. Take care. Have a lovely weekend all. Take care. Bye.